Imagine that you're walking down a street, and the street appears to be getting longer with every step you take, like your destination is out of reach, to the point that it makes you feel crazy. The road, the sidewalks elongate, and you don't know if it's your eyes that are playing tricks on you. You feel confused inside. The only thing that brings you any clarity and brings you back to awareness is this Chinese restaurant called Master Wok on the corner, and it's brightly lit that can't be missed, yellow, red, with a little gold, and you think you smell Chinese. So you think to yourself, well, I know I'm not far off because I know this landmark in life. But you've never entered into the facility, but today you do, since it feels cold outside. There's clouds ahead, it's a little dark and scary, so you think to yourself, I need a break from the outside, the winds around me, and you are lost while you are in this city. And you like Chinese food, so you think maybe I'll order a poo-poo, even for two. As you enter, something seems different compared to any other Chinese restaurant you have been to eat. It's painted in reds and orange with some green planters, and you feel tired and confused internally. The man takes longer than a few to arrive to the front of the counter while you looked around, but you didn't see a menu of food. Rather, instead, you saw a menu of life, and he says, please, come in. We've been waiting for you for a long time. You think, who? Me? You look behind, and there's no human being. The man keeps a straight face, pulls the beads open to the side that hang down like a curtain wall. He says as he pours you a cup of tea, yes, you. He is quiet and calm, seems at peace. Inside, and as is this place with minimal decor, just a table and a couple seats, and a waving cat at the entry door facing the outside. The Maneki Neku, which represents good fortune and luck, hopes for the future. You see it at many of these establishments, but rarely knew the meaning before. But today, you feel stuck. And he points to this seat. You are thinking, what the fuck did I just walk into? He says, please sit down. But with limited words he speaks. As you sit down, you look at him confused. You apologize and say, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to order Chinese food. He slightly laughs and says, it's okay. I see this often, but you walked in here today, which means you were aligned to receive. Receive what? I am lost and confused. I don't know if it's my eyes, but I was looking for 45 Main Street. Do you know where that is? It appears to me that I have passed it or missed it. But you know that you were looking for the address numbers while you were walking down the street. You had seen 63, 59, 57, 55, and somehow suddenly it skipped to 43. When you tried to go back to where you had began, it seemed like a mirror funhouse that was stretching out on the streets, so you kept walking forward instead, thinking, you made a mistake, must be me. He just states, no mistakes, just meant to be. He looks at you and says that if you are feeling lost and confused, it's because you are confused internally inside. You sit there and think, gee, now since I can't have Chinese, all I want is an egg roll, crab rangoons, and rice. But he tells you, focus, because he can see it in your eyes, and he says, explain this to me. And you say, well, actually, I was looking for my therapist office today for our appointment. She told me she would be in a different location. We don't usually meet in person. Generally, it's over Zoom, but we decided to have an in-person session today. So I came to the city where I thought she would be. Now I feel lost inside, and the chaos causes anxiety, which doesn't help me to think clearly, I can't deny. You try to tell them this in a way that wouldn't seem crazy, that for some reason, and you can't explain why, but every step you were taking made the street appear longer. How can this be? Oddly enough, this is the only building from the outside that didn't move while you remained in this neighborhood that stretched on both sides. The man tells you, with limited words, he just points to the bottom of your cup to sip your tea. Even though you don't want to, you do so politely. Therapy. He scoffs. I remember those days. You ask, what do you mean? You sit with the person across from you weekly for them to let you speak, but really, do they give you much of a reply besides the validation that you are heard regarding your sorrows of your life? But do they really, or they should not be, telling you anything about who you are? It's up to you to figure that out, your why, and what brought you here to these circumstances in life. The people, the places, where did you come from, your trajectory, everything that you've been through. You think momentarily. Interesting, as you reflect on your sessions in therapy and realize everything I have figured out is because of me, simply because I spoke out loud to a stranger who is paid to listen to my problems weekly for an hour in my life. Do you know you could have just as an effective therapy if you sit and talk with a friend for 10 minutes compared to a 1-hour session to a stranger who received a diploma or a license while you hope it's covered by your health insurance ideally? It's true. It's just as helpful just to have a lending ear of a trusted human being. In that moment, you feel like you want to leave, but you are so intrigued by this experience in life and you wonder where it's going to lead. The man points to your heart and tells you to take your hand and place it on your chest. And he says, do you feel that? You seem even more confused. Yes, it's my heart beating inside. Right. You are alive. It is beating for you. That is why you were able to wake up today and leave, drive here, and walk down the street. He asks you, tell me, how did you walk today? You reply, what do you mean? With my feet and shoes, sort of laughing. He says, no, I mean, how did you walk today when you were looking for 45 Main Street? You say, well, I parked in front of the corner store, took the sidewalk, and looked for the address for therapy on each door. He says, no, my dear, you are not listening to me. I want to know how you walked down the street. You pause momentarily to consider this question now asked 3 times. You look him in the eyes, and he is standing over you like a parent, but not with that disappointing look in life, one that's more intrigued, leaning over you on the table with his face near you. You almost feel yourself welling up inside. He says as he looks at you, think. Suddenly, it hits you. I see. Well, I felt a bit scared. I have not been to this side of the city in some time, so it felt new again to me. He asks, what was so scary? I shook his shoulders to say, I don't know. It's different than I assumed or remember from before. Okay. Different is good. Don't you believe? If we were all one and the same, would you not be bored with the neighborhoods and the streets? He asks you to continue to tell him how you walked down the street. Well, I was biting my nails when I got to 43. I knew I was getting close to my destination to the therapist I had never met personally in life. When I saw the numbers changing, I bit my cuticles, realized this looked childish and unattractive, not like the woman I want to be or exude in life. He states, go on. And there you begin to see it in your head that you were looking down a bit nervously. That once you reached 43, you started shaking inside, wondering why and how can this be, with this confused look on your face, thinking you messed up this time. Why do you believe you are the one to make a mistake when you are searching for 45 Main Street? Do you not trust yourself and your decisions you make? You said you saw with your eyes. You say, well, I mean, who else would I be blaming but me? I am the one walking to find this address, well, trying to. He says, but maybe there is something more to think of or to be seen. How were the buildings marked? You said that you have rarely been on this side of the city. So how can you arrive somewhere you travel to limitedly? And blame yourself as a human for not being able to find. Where did you come from? A small town, but my house was behind a busy highway, so I never crossed the street. always seemed scary, and my mom gave me a boundary. So anything outside of that felt different. Maybe too much besides the mall or Mickey D's. Mickey D's? He looks at you. Yes, McDonald's, where I would get ice creams on my bike. He looks at you and says, don't eat that food. You say, okay. You seem confused. He says, it's not the right protein to feed your integrity. My integrity? Sir, maybe I should leave. He puts his hand over yours. If food carries an energy, what kind of food do you think you would need to eat in order to improve your physical health and mentality inside? You think to yourself, is he calling me fat or something? But somehow he can see the thoughts in your mind. So he states before you even have a chance to repeat his own words, does it make you feel good to consume fake meat? No, actually. I always feel exhausted after eating a Big Mac, chicken nuggets, fries, and a shake or a soda. See? See what? I do not see where this is going. Is it me? Once again, he says, you are doing it again. You are blaming yourself for something you are not aware of or have never experienced or seen. You are too hard on yourself. Yes, but I am confused, which isn't bringing any clarity to this news. He asks, how long have you seen your therapist and gone to therapy? You say, 6 months, actually. Regularly, every week, only missed one session, he states, and you still seem so confused. What do you mean? What has this therapist provided for you? I guess the ability to speak. Speak to who? I don't know, maybe out loud for everything I've been through or seen. My child, can you not speak to yourself to ask questions, give insight, perspective, and clarity? Has she said anything to you that you would not have been able to say to yourself? You think, I guess not. You reflect on the responses you have received too. You get a lot of, you're absolutely right, you're absolutely valid to think or feel this way in life, which doesn't really do anything actually, besides give me this feeling of, gee, thanks, as I'm reminded that I can feel and think freely. But the sessions seem to end rather quickly every time, especially if I run out of anything else to say. She closes out the sessions until next time. What brought you in here today? He looks at you curiously. Well, honestly, at first, I wanted to get out of the cold. Then I thought, might as well order Chinese. Everybody thinks they're going to order food when they get here. But what's the name of this place? Did you see it before you walked in? In your mind, you think, Master Wok. He states, no, Master Wok. You walked in here willingly. The wok is you. Wok is the pan we cook and fry your food. Wok because you walked in here wanting something new. You could have asked the market man. You could have walked straight home or to your car. But you chose to walk into this place over them all. I understand the confusion on the streets. There's a lot of noise out there. You think you best believe it. The people, the cars, the horns that beep, the traffic, the crosswalks which tweet, like cuckoo clocks for the blind to hear when crossing. And everything carries an energy. Even the cars, even though they can't speak, you almost feel the driver who sits in that front seat. In your car, where do you sit? He asks you. What do you mean, in the car? Well, I'm usually the driver, so the front seat. Again, he asks, where do you sit? Well, I drove here today. Didn't take the bus, train, or taxi, so front seat, you repeat. He asks you again, I understand, but where do you actually sit inside? And he waits silently for your reply. Oh my God, you think this man is like a riddle or a Rubik's Cube or something? So again, you sit and think while he grabs a model car that he has next to him and points to all the areas and the seats, and states with such conviction how he wants more from you. Focus, he says, for you to listen to what he's about to say, but you must be willing to listen to his speech. Here you have the driver. Yes, you are driving the passenger seat to escort another person to their destination with you. Then you have the back seats. There is 3 to choose: behind the driver, behind the front passenger, and the one in the middle that usually squeezes you. You think he is going to stop there, and then he points to the trunk where groceries are generally stored, but he says, I'm asking you, even though you are in your car, are you the driver, the front passenger, one of the ones in the back seats, or are you hiding in the trunk? What do you mean? Are you facing your sorrows and problems in life, or are you hiding from them when they appear in front of you? You begin to think for a moment. I see. You are saying that even though, hypothetically, I should have control of my car, that I may be controlling it from the back seat. He says, yes, and he smiles at you. Where are the brakes and the lights, the signals, the controls? They are on the driver's seat. Correct. So when you are faced with a problem from society, are you grabbing the wheel? Are you hiding behind in the back seat? Do you know what you could have to do if you were in that back seat in order to control or stop the car? You'd have to jump in the front, grab the e-brake to hear the tires screech. But if you remained in the front of your car the whole time, you would be in control every step of the way in every neighborhood or street in your life. If you were in the trunk, how will you see, hear, or get out and face all of the problems ahead of you? How would anyone help or hear you scream? If you are controlling your car, hiding in the trunk like you are a kidnapped human being, you can't even be in the driver's seat, so focused on the rear view. That mirror is looking behind. It's not looking ahead of you for your life. Your walk or your drive is in you. You said it yourself. You recognized you weren't looking like a lady when you were biting your nails like a scared little human. You have to walk confidently to your tune in order to claim your dignity and integrity. The therapy, it's been in you the whole time. It's inside. And he points to your heart. It sounds so confusing to hear this perspective in life, since we grew up in a generation where someone asked, how does that make you feel? Or it wasn't discussed at all and everything was fine and dandy. Life is not perfect. We all came from troubles. It's why some are bitter with baggage, don't you see? And you don't have to carry that bag in the trunk the whole time. You can toss them out, drive freely, and listen to your tunes with a seatbelt on, respectfully, for your life. Not only when you have a passenger in the seat or get pulled over where you try to put it on so quickly. Get in the driver's seat. Have the most utmost respect for you because you value your own life and values, or else you hear the noises in the street. They take over within, and that's not a healthy way to live freely. Lastly, he says to you that it's interesting to him that you were looking for 45 Main Street. He asks, do you know what 45 represents? You say, no, actually I don't. And he says, a higher power that's reminding you of positive change, transformation, and new beginnings. Then there's a pause, and you feel this overwhelming sense of peace. And it takes over you inside. And the man says, you walking into Master Walk means you are being awarded to receive something beautiful in life. You were starving today, And that's why you came in here to eat. So prosperity will be gifted your way for when you leave. You will feel growth within and strong inside, healthy and successful the way that God prospered a nation and intended to. It's no coincidence that you walked in here today. Don't you see? We are all attached by this invisible string. It's a red thread for those who are destined to meet regarding whatever time, space, place, age, race. We must look at society as a whole and not so individually. The thread can stretch through eternity, bend, knot, but it will never break. It's a heaven on earth that's capable to achieve. You were seeking your therapist today, and I'm sorry you got lost inside. I'm sorry you couldn't order Chinese food, but understand that peace comes from within and your thoughts influence your reality. And the reasons that you may have become therapy, you were looking for the truth in your authenticity, but you had it inside. You just had to tell your own story. And what you were looking for and what you've been through, and not just to anybody. Save it for the special ones who deserve to get to know you deeply regarding your life. Sometimes all you do have to do is speak out loud to tell your story, but the story can be told to yourself, not to anybody or everybody or the person with the PhD. You feel this overwhelming feeling of peace that takes over you so sweetly. And he grabs a pad of paper to write you a script for when you leave. He says, when you go, look up and practice the Chinese method of Tai Chi. It's the yin and the yang, duality, masculine and feminine, sun and moon energy. And it reminds you to practice doing so slowly, mindfully, the way you should walk or consume life and the steps to move forward to improve your integrity. He scribbles his signature, puts his fedora on, it seems, that he too has to leave, and he hands you the paper, which you fold and put it in your pocket immediately. You thank him with the most endearing thank you of all times, and he simply bows his head in respect towards you, which symbolizes gratitude and leaving. So you grab your bag, stand up, and walk outside of Master Walk feeling like a completely different human being inside. As you walk out of the building, you breathe this overwhelming sigh that feels relieving and deep, like you let out the last bit of air from before you walked into Master Walk. And you breathe in this new fresh sense of air for life and what's to come that you can't see. Suddenly, you reach into your pocket to read the script regarding the Tai Chi. And you see at the top of the paper, there's an address written the whole time. You can't believe it. It says 45 Main Street. What you were looking for in life. You look at the building and there it is written right next to the door. You smile, humbling, healing, a bit of humility, and accepting of the peace in life and the joy for what you have and what is to be received. Suddenly the phone that's in your pocket begins to play a song that you can hear on the streets as it's played accidentally. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static. And every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life. And you smile, because it's the reminder that the universe is on your side. So you walk down the street, back to your car with this new pep in your step, peace and dignity, feeling light as a feather, and the others around you can see you keep your head up, get more smiles from folks who walk by, you give them the respectful nod that you had just received from a man whose name you never got the entire time, but you know you got so much more out of this experience in life.